The Stormers have been kicked out of the URC in the semi-final, an unfortunate loss to Leinster in Dublin at the Aviva Stadium. A successful season for the Stormers probably, but in this video I'm going to be giving my player ratings for the Stormers and their performance against Leinster in the URC semi-final. Now, there might be some very good ratings, there might be some incredibly poor ratings here as well for some of the players, so let me know in the comments down below if you agree, let me know if you disagree. Once again, I appreciate all the support, and if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I appreciate all the support, and there's going to be so much more rugby content coming out soon. The international games are coming up, the Nations Championship, Springboks vs Barbarians, Springboks vs All Blacks Tour, all the international games happening, all the tier 1 teams. I'm going to be doing player ratings for all the Nations Championship games, match reactions, match previews as well. So much more to come. So if you do enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button and hang around. Let's get right into it. Starting off with number 1, Ntuthuku Mchunu. Now, Ntuthuku Mchunu had a really good game yesterday. I'm going for a 7.5 out of 10 for him. I think he's just secured a spot in the Springbok squad for the year. I fully expect to see a lot more of him this year for the Springboks. Potentially could be in that Barbarians game as well. I think he might just be starting that game. I just have a feeling about it. But I think throughout the year, using Ntuthuku Mchunu as a bench player throughout the year for the Springboks in the bomb squad will be really good for the Springbok players going forward, and I think he will honestly make a massive impact going forward in this year. He's had a phenomenal year since moving to the Stormers from the Sharks, and I think that was a bit of a genius move from him as well. So Ntuthuku Mchunu has been thriving this year, so a 7.5 out of 10 for him, a good performance. Moving on to number 2, Andre Igufenza. I've gone for a 7 out of 10. One bad line-out, but other than that, he was really good at line-out time. He was good at set piece. He was good around the park. The Stormers players, the Stormers forward pack just couldn't get the dominance they normally do that they get against different teams, and that's not their fault. They were trying. They were really giving it everything they could. This Leinster team is just quality. They have some quality forwards, some quality international players, and they made it extremely difficult for the Stormers team. So a 7 out of 10 for Andre Igufenza. A very good season from him. I must say, he really impressed me this year. Both him and JJ Kotze were really good this year, but I think Marius van der Westhuizen is coming over to the Stormers as well, so that should be a very interesting selection to see for the Stormers. So I do think Andre Igufenza probably will be the best out of those guys, probably will start going forward, but you never know what's going to happen with John Dobson as the coach. It's going to be very interesting. Number 3, Nedling Fischer. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 as well. Good without being great. Good at the scrum time, so I kind of have to reward the 3 props there. They were very good at scrum time. They were actually quite dominant at scrum time. They definitely got the better of their Irish counterparts at scrum time. But that being said, around the park, not the best. Maybe could have done a bit more, but a 7 out of 10 for a very strong scrum showing. So Nedling Fischer with a 7 out of 10. Moving on to number 4, Andre Smith. Definitely needs to stop talking to the ref so much. He was honestly in the ref's ear the entire game, and as a ref, that must be so annoying, and that honestly would make a ref very annoyed with the team that's doing that. So Andre Smith definitely needs to tone it down when it comes to talking to the ref. He's not the captain. He maybe acted like the captain, but he's not the captain. So Andre Smith, I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10 because he was really good all around the field. He's been physical the whole year, been one of the better Stormers players throughout the entire season, been one of the most consistent players as well. I think he went to Japan and then came back, and now he's been a really good part of the Stormers squad. I'm not sure if he's back at the Stormers for next year, but they could use a guy like him next year. He has been absolutely awesome the whole year. But as I said, just needs to keep his mouth shut sometimes because he talks a lot on the field, and it really you can see it gets on the nerves of the referee as well. So 6.5 for Andre Smith, a good season from him, a good performance as well. Number 5, Connor Evans. I've gone for a 6 out of 10. Good without being great as well. He was above average, but not the most incredible performance. You can really see that the Stormers team was missing JD Schikkeling and Ruben van Heerden a lot. They were really missing those 2 guys. Imagine if the Stormers had a Ruben van Heerden, a JD Schikkeling, a Sasha Ngomazulu, a Kobus Reinach. It would probably be a completely different game. Now, I'm not saying I think the Stormers would have won. I think it still probably would have been a very close game till the end, but it definitely would have given the Stormers a much better chance at winning this game. So yeah, Connor Evans with a 6 out of 10 really did miss some of their big time players like a Ruben van Heerden, like a JD Schikkeling as well. Number 6, Paul de Villiers. For Paul de Villiers, I've gone for a 7.5 out of 10. Just couldn't get that many turnovers yesterday, but he was a menace at the breakdown. He was good around the field. I was so confused why they brought Paul de Villiers off early. That was a bit of a shocker for me. They should not have brought him off early. He's one of those guys, he always makes a good impact. He's always a threat at the breakdown. He slowed down the ball for the Leinster at the breakdown. He kept slowing their ball down. He was a very good player. I fully expect him to play a lot more games for the Springboks this year. He has been absolutely awesome this season. Definitely should not have taken him off the field. He was really good while he was on, but yeah, a good performance from Paul de Villiers. Moving on to Ben Jason Dixon, I've gone for a 6.5 out of 10. Not his best performance by any means. We really wanted to see a massive physical performance from Ben Jason Dixon, a dominant performance. We just didn't get it. A very good player without being great in this season, to be honest. He was good at times, but I just don't think he's been great. I think other guys have been a bit better, and I probably would like to see Ben Jason Dixon maybe play in the number 4 or 5 jersey next year, especially with Sia Khaleesi coming, and they still have Achieva Diamani as well. So maybe the best position for Ben Jason Dixon in the Stormers team is in the lock position. Moving on to Evan Roos, and this is where it maybe gets a bit controversial. I thought Evan Roos had a good game. He was busy, he was all over. Yes, he makes mistakes, but it's because he's so busy all around the field. So I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Evan Roos. I know a lot of people will be saying either he needs a 9 out of 10 or he needs a 5 out of 10. There's no in between with Evan Roos, especially with the fans, but I thought he was quite good yesterday. Very physical. Yes, he had some silly blatant knock-ons which will definitely haunt him for years to come or weeks to come. But I fully expect Evan Roos to be in the Springbok squad this year. I definitely do. He's had a pretty good season as well. I mean, top try scorer in the URC. You don't just get that by being average as well. He's been very physical the whole year. He's been playing like a very kind of dominant player as well. So I expect him to be a lot more involved in the Springbok team. And can you imagine a guy like Evan Roos learning and shadowing from Peter Steph Tutoy, from Jasper Wiese, from Sia Khaleesi in the Springbok squad? That will really help him develop as a player and just maybe kind of understand where he can use his aggression on the field, where he can maybe implement his skills better on the field as well. Because he's got a very good skill set. He's very physical. There's no doubt that he's right for international rugby. He's played at Twickenham before. He's beaten England at Twickenham as the Springboks number 8 before. He's done it before. And I do believe he can do a lot more good things for the Springboks in the coming years as well. So let me know what you think of Evan Roos down below in the comments. I know there's a lot of controversy about him and his playing style, but just let me know what you think of him in the comments. I personally rate him quite highly as a player. Yes, there's some things he can do better and some things he can get rid of in his game, but I think putting him in the Springbok squad, allowing him to learn from those guys will really benefit him as a player. Moving on to number 9, Imad Khan. I'm going for a 7.5 out of 10. You could definitely tell the difference when he was on the field and when he wasn't on the field. When he left the field, there clearly was a difference, and I thought he had a much better game this week than last week. Good kicking game. One poor box kick, but he's still a young guy. He still has to iron out those mistakes. I mean, if you imagine Ambrose Papir and Grant Williams, when they were starting out, their box kicks weren't the best. They were still struggling as well, but they still were rated as very highly rated players. And I think the same for Imad Khan. Very good breakaway there. He honestly just wasn't fast enough to go all the way for that try. Maybe should have put it on the boot, but at the end of the day, he had a pretty good performance. And in these big games, he's still doing some big moments as well, which is a very positive thing for him and for his future in the rugby space. So a good performance from Imad Khan. But moving on to Yuri Matia, I thought he was good without being great as well, and that's probably the theme with a lot of these Stormers players. There's no doubt in my mind that he's a very good player, and I honestly think if a guy like Sasha Ngomazulu is injured, Yuri Matia is the perfect guy to have as his replacement. I don't think he was bad by any means. When he actually did injure his knee, you could just tell that it probably was the beginning of the end for the Stormers. So I'm giving Yuri Matia a 6.5 out of 10. A good performance without being great. You can't really do much if your team isn't getting that much forward ball. I mean, as a 9 and as a 10, if your team is not dominating the advantage line, not getting over the advantage line so much, it's always going to be difficult. Can you imagine if Yuri Matia was in the Leinster jersey yesterday with that much go forward ball, with a guy like Jameson Gibson Park at 9 giving you quick, accurate ball every single time? He probably would look incredibly good and maybe get called up to an island team with a full season in a Leinster jersey like that. So it's just situational, but I thought he had a good game, and I thought he's had a very impressive season as well. Definitely an important player for Stormers in the coming years as well, and I fully expect him to have a big role in the Currie Cup. Maybe they give him a lot more time in the Currie Cup, and maybe he could steer the Stormers to another Currie Cup win. It's been a while since they won the Currie Cup, but it'd be really good to see if he could steer them to a victory there as well. Moving on to number 11, Leolin Zas. I've gone for a 6 out of 10. I thought the wings were okay from the Stormers. They weren't the best under the high ball. They weren't as dangerous as they normally are. There were periods in the game where they looked to kind of have a little bright spark, but it just wasn't meant to be for them. Leolan Zas has had a very good year of rugby. I mean, he's been really good. He used to be at the Sharks and he never used to feature for the Sharks. He never used to start for them. He was always in the Sharks XV team and the B team for the Sharks. Ever since he's gone back to the Stormers, it's been absolutely awesome to see how he's been playing. He's been playing with confidence, he's been physical, and I really like the way he's been playing. I kind of see him similar to a James Lowe for the Stormers. Not the fastest winger in the world, but he's very physical and he almost always beats his defender 1-on-1. So a good season from Leolan Zas. Not his best game on the day, so a 6 out of 10 for him. I'm going to go right to the other wing here, Wandisile Simelane. I'm giving Wandisile Simelane a 6.5 out of 10. I thought Wandisile Simelane was really impressive with ball in hand. Just under the high ball, you can tell he's maybe not a natural winger. You can tell he's a natural center, maybe a fullback as well, but I really prefer him in the number 13 jersey. But of course, right now, he's not going to play number 13 with the run now there. On defense, he got beaten by James Lowe. That was a bit of a ugly one to watch. He got handed off quite badly there. But other than that, he was really good with ball in hand. He was beating defenders for fun. And I really do enjoy watching Wandisile Simelane when he has some space because he always beats his defender. He's so fun to watch. But a 6.5 for him. I'm really glad that he's kind of getting his confidence back. He had a bit of a bad run at the Bulls. I still personally think he should not have left the Lions. He was absolutely thriving at the Lions. They were talking about him as the next Lucanio as well. He was playing some incredible rugby, went to the Bulls. Obviously didn't go his way there. There were guys like Stedman Gans and those guys putting in some better performances. They tried to move him to fullback. He's not a fullback, but at least he looks a bit more comfortable on the wing, and hopefully we can see a lot more of him going forward because this guy in high school was one of the best schoolboy players I've ever seen in my life, and you can just see glimpses of how good he is. He always beats his defenders. Footwork is incredible, and he scored some incredible good tries for the Stormers this year as well. So hopefully Wandisile Simelane, we can see a lot more of him in years to come for the Stormers. Now moving on to the centers, number 12, Dan du Plessis. I've gone for a 6 out of 10. Not his best game. Honestly, didn't look like he was really making any impact in the game, and that's not his fault. As I said before, I just think the forward pack from the Stormers didn't get as much dominance as they would have liked around the park. Stormers barely had the ball in hand as well. I think they made something like, I don't even know how many carries they made, but I think Leinster made double or triple the amount of carries that Stormers made, and I think it was 4 times the amount of meters made, post-contact meters, than the Stormers made. So the Stormers couldn't get any go-forward ball, and as a center, you probably feel like a sitting duck if you're just getting the ball in the back foot or barely getting the ball at all. So an unfortunate game for him. Hopefully we can see a lot more of him with some ball in space because he is a very good player to watch and a very underrated player as well. I think the whole center combination from the Stormers is really underrated as well. I mean, both these guys aren't Springboks, but they play almost like Springbok players on a weekly basis. They are one of the most important players in the Stormers team as well. Talking about an important player for the Stormers, Ruan now in the number 13 jersey. I'm going for a 7 out of 10. Led from the front, had some good moments. It just wasn't meant to be for him. Same thing with him as with Dan du Plessis. Just couldn't get the ball in space, just couldn't get the ball with that many opportunities, couldn't get the ball on the front foot with a bit of momentum. If he did, it would have been a much different game, but still a 7 out of 10 because he was physical. He showed those kind of blitz box basics of being good at the breakdown, physical all over the field, making his tackles, a very good 50-22. I almost thought that would be the changing point in the game. It just wasn't meant to be for the Stormers team, so a 7 out of 10 for Ruan now. Moving on to number 15, Damian Willemse. This is a bit of a weird one because I thought he was good and bad yesterday. I don't think it was his best performance. So I'm going for a 6.5 for Damian Willemse. Now with these player ratings, it's not me rating him against Hugo Keenan or rating Damian Willemse against Wandisile Simelane. I'm rating Damian Willemse against how he's been playing throughout the season and what we've seen from him before. Not his best performance, wasn't that good under the high ball, made a few silly mistakes, tried some good things, some moments looked really good, but at the end of the day it was not his best game. So a 6.5 out of 10 for him. Not his best performance, but in a Springbok jersey, with the Springbok forward pack, the way they normally go about things, he would look a lot better. He would be playing a lot better rugby as well. And at the end of the day, you can't really put all the pressure on one guy to try to do every single thing in a game. He was trying his best. He was trying to make things happen. It just didn't work for him yesterday. It just didn't work for the Stormers yesterday. So a lot of what ifs for the Stormers team. Let me know if you agree with some of these player ratings from the starting lineup. As you can see, it's a bit of a mixed bag. You can just tell it was a bit of an average performance. For me, once again, I'm going to reiterate it. The Stormers just looked like they were hanging on for dear life in that game. They didn't really thrive in that game. They didn't look to really put Leinster under pressure. The best moments in that game for the Stormers was the break from Imad Khan, was the 50-22 from Ruan now, and it was not allowing Leinster to score tries when Leinster was really piling on the pressure. So at the end of the day, the Stormers did really well to make the semi-final, and with all their strongest players, I think it would have been a completely different game, because two locks not available, two of your best locks as well, your number 9 and your number 10, both Springbok starters not available, really makes a big difference. But now let's move on to the bench. I'm going to rate the bench as a complete unit. For the bench, I'm going to have to go for a 5 out of 10. And specifically for Ruan Ackermann, I'm going to have to go for a 1 out of 10. I don't know what he was doing. Charged with a shoulder into the player's head in a critical point in the game. I was actually giving him some praise before the game, saying he's played in all those finals for the Lions. Maybe he can use his experience. He's played for his dad before at the Lions and a very successful Super Rugby team. Maybe he can come on and do some good things because he has that valuable knowledge and experience from those big games. It was the complete opposite. He came onto the field. He charged with a shoulder into the guy's head. He also hasn't been playing that much rugby for a while, which I maybe think from a selection standpoint, it was not a smart decision to pick him because he hasn't been playing rugby for a while. Now chucking him in the deep end now in a playoff game like this, he's been injured for a while. He's not going to understand what's going on right now. He's not going to be up to pace with what's going on. And bring him on that early for a guy like Paul de Villiers, who's been absolutely phenomenal the whole year, was absolutely silly in my opinion. So that's definitely the one thing I will say was absolutely silly from the coaching staff, from the Stormers. The bench in general didn't do bad, but I think him and the impact that maybe him and a guy like Stefan Angra made just brings it down a bit because they didn't add that much value. They made things a lot more negative for the Stormers. And in my opinion, if you were to play the entire Stormers team for the 80 minutes and maybe just bring on that bench front row, it probably would have been a much better game for the Stormers. Because I think the bench front row did quite well. Vernon Matongo was good. Zachary Porton was good. JJ Kotze was good as well. But the other guys just weren't the best. Warwick Gelant looked okay when he came on. He tried to do things. I mean, he didn't really get that much time. The thing with Warwick Gelant is he's either amazing or he's terrible. And I think yesterday he had the potential to do some amazing things if he got more time. But that being said, Ruan Ackermann, a 1 out of 10 for him. But for the bench, a 5 out of 10. Not the best performance from the bench. Normally this bench comes on and makes a really big impact, but that's just a testament to the Leinster team that they played a full 80-minute performance. And yes, the scoreboard maybe says it was a very close game, but at the end of the day, looking at the stats, thinking about the game again, looking back at the game, it definitely was a lot more one-sided than people probably want to realize. But that being said, a very unfortunate way to end the season for the Stormers. At the start of the season, they were looking like the team to beat. They were looking like the best club team in the world. People were saying, can they win the URC? Can they win the Champions Cup? And at the end of the day in these tournaments, it's all about keeping your team healthy and managing your players. Now, unfortunately, these injuries for the Stormers, I do think the Stormers players were well managed throughout the year. That's not one of the problems. I just think it was unlucky with the injuries and their timings. It could have been a much different season for them if they were actually playing better rugby at the end of the season. If they didn't lose that game to Cardiff away from home as well, they potentially could have had a home semi-final as well, and that would have made a big difference. So at the end of the day, a lot of what ifs for the Stormers team this season, but they're going to go back to the drawing board. There's a lot of good young players here, and I think the Stormers team has what it takes to win this tournament again. But if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.